Someone failed today, not you, and something in you quietly relaxed. You felt it for half a second before guilt rushed in and told you that wasn't okay to feel. But it happened anyway. A friend's relationship fell apart, and some small part of you felt less alone in yours. A coworker missed their deadline, and suddenly yours didn't feel so bad. Someone posted online about a rough week, and you scrolled past feeling strangely lighter. You didn't choose this. You didn't decide to feel relief at someone else's struggle. It just happened. And if you've ever felt that and immediately hated yourself for it, this video is for you. It happens in the smallest moments. Your friend texts you about a fight with their partner. You listen. You comfort them. You mean every word of support you give. And underneath all of that, something quietly shifts. A little voice that says, "Okay, so it's not just me." A coworker mentions they're behind on a project. You nod sympathetically. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a small, uninvited thought appears. Good. I'm not the only one falling behind. You're not happy they're struggling. You'd never wish that on them. But something about their struggle makes your own feel less like proof that something is wrong with you. And the moment you notice that feeling, the guilt comes fast. What kind of person feels relief at someone else's pain? But here's the truth. This isn't really about wanting them to suffer. It's about something else entirely. Here's what's actually happening. Psychologists call it social comparison, and it's not a flaw in your character. It's one of the most basic ways the human brain understands itself. We don't experience our own worth in a vacuum. We understand who we are by constantly, automatically measuring ourselves against everyone around us. It's not something you choose to do. It's something your brain has been doing since you were old enough to notice other people existed. So when you see someone struggling, your brain isn't being cruel. It's doing the only thing it knows how to do, gathering information about where you stand. But here's where it gets more complicated. There's a specific type of comparison that happens when we're struggling ourselves. Psychologists call it downward social comparison, comparing yourself to someone who seems to be doing worse as a way to feel better about your own situation. And it's not random. It tends to happen most in people who are already anxious about their own worth. If you grew up needing constant proof that you were doing okay, your brain learned a shortcut. When you don't have evidence that you're succeeding, finding evidence that someone else is struggling more becomes the next best thing. It's not because you're unkind. It's because somewhere along the way, your nervous system learned that safety isn't measured by how well you're doing. It's measured by how well you're doing compared to everyone else. So your brain goes looking for reassurance in the only currency it learned to trust: other people's struggles. But here's something that might help. This doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person whose brain is trying, clumsily, imperfectly, to stabilize something that feels shaky. That tiny flicker of relief isn't cruelty. It's your nervous system reaching for the nearest thing that might make the constant pressure of self-evaluation feel a little lighter, even for a second. You're not broken for feeling it. You're human. But here's what this pattern actually costs you. If your sense of okayness depends on someone else's struggle, it was never really yours to begin with. It was borrowed. And borrowed peace doesn't last. The moment that person gets back on their feet, the moment their life starts looking good again, that quiet relief you felt disappears. You might notice a flicker of discomfort when someone you know succeeds, not because you don't want good things for them, but because somewhere inside, their success quietly threatens the fragile sense of okayness you built on the idea that you weren't the only one struggling. This is the part that's hardest to admit. When you've been measuring your worth against other people's pain, their healing can start to feel like a loss. You congratulate them. You mean it, mostly. But there's a tiny part of you that flinches. Not because you're a bad friend, but because you never learned how to feel okay about yourself without someone else as the reference point. And that means every time someone around you grows, heals, or succeeds, you lose your footing a little. Because the only stability you had was built on comparison, instead of something solid inside yourself. Here's where this usually starts. Many people who struggle with this grew up in environments where comparison was constant. Maybe you had a sibling who excelled in ways you didn't. Maybe achievement in your family was always relative. Not did you do well, but did you do better than someone else? In that kind of environment, your sense of self never gets to exist on its own. It only exists in relation to others. So your brain adapted. It learned to constantly scan. Who's ahead? Who's behind? Who's struggling? Who's thriving? Because that scanning felt like the only way to know where you stood. It wasn't selfish. It was survival. But here's the part that's hard to hear. This system never actually satisfies you. You can collect 100 pieces of evidence that you're doing better than someone else, and it will never feel like enough. Because the problem was never the comparison itself. The problem is that your sense of worth was never anchored inside you to begin with. It was always floating, attached to whoever happened to be struggling or succeeding around you. And a floating sense of self can never actually rest. It just keeps searching, keeps needing the next data point to feel okay for a little while longer. So what do you do with this? You don't have to punish yourself for feeling relief when someone else struggles. That feeling isn't proof that you're a bad person. It's proof that you learned, a long time ago, to find your footing through comparison because nothing more solid was available. But here's what becomes possible now. You can start building something different. Not worth that depends on being better than someone. Not relief that depends on someone else struggling. But a quieter kind of okayness. One that doesn't need anyone else's pain or success to tell you where you stand. It won't happen all at once. But the next time you notice that flicker of relief at someone's struggle, or that flicker of discomfort at someone's success, you can pause. And instead of judging yourself for it, you can simply notice. There's my old wiring again, looking for proof through someone else. And slowly, you can start finding that proof somewhere else, inside yourself, where it was always supposed to live. We see you. Your worth was never something to measure against anyone else. It was already whole. You just hadn't been taught to look there yet.